All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo. And in this episode of the PGA Show, going to be breaking down the Wyndham Championship. Got my guy Hoopster here with me as always to break it all down. Going to go through the tiers. I think going to go a little bit away from the SaberSim style this week, just with the projections and ownership. We're going to have that on the site and updated. I know the initial stone, I was just talking with our guy, the editor. That's going to be up here shortly as well. So Hoopster, bring you in. I know you're just... too soon, but I know you're just flooded with things over there. But what's going on, my friend? I got to drop.
Yeah,
Sorry, man.
that is, man. I do like the play on words, but that one hits home. Got a little issue here at the residence that we're dealing with. A little leak that ruined the kitchen and the basement. So got some insurance stuff going on. Never fun. So nice little break here to talk through the PGA last regular season event. And honestly, the field's a little better than I thought. Like, you think of Wyndham at the end, and it's a very, very weak field. It's weak, but there's some names here, so it's better than I thought coming in.
Yeah, and it's almost just like last week. I kind of like these types of weeks. Last week was specifically, I think we had that pegged perfectly. I know it was a close call for some members. I had a really good week. If it could have been a lot better, but I will say it just made no sense last week. It was after a major. Everyone was being lazy, and it's like the highest variance course where all the chalk can go to bust, and not everybody did, but a bunch did. So I thought it was an interesting thing. This week feels kind of the same. There's going to be certainly guys that people move to, and we'll talk about that as we go through the tiers. But just to bring a couple up here, Razor Sharp was first in. LFG, our guy Newens dropping the triple. Rocket Ship, Sites 501, been crushing it in the showdown streets lately. Appreciate you. Jason Turner, always here supporting. Andrew, almost announcement time. Yeah, I will say August 6th. We keep repeating it. We never just say this unless it's big, but this one's the biggest in I think ever. The biggest thing we've ever done, at least from a marketing campaign. I know that. But I will say
one thing in regard to that, because if I don't say something right away, I'll forget. I got a bad memory. But a couple people have reached out. I did want to clarify this on the show. Said, I'm definitely coming back to SHIPIT. Maybe a lot of people that don't really play the sports outside of football. I'm coming back to you guys for NFL season. Should I wait till August 6th to sign up? And the answer to that is no. Nothing is going to change in terms of like the packages and our offering. So you can sign up now and still be a part of everything that is announced on the 6th. So I just did want to point that out.
The mystery bonus too, right, is in your favor. So if you want to upgrade, we've talked about that a ton. If you're already a member at SHIPIT Nation and you're a monthly member and you're looking to go to annual, that's also going to get lumped into there. But everyone will be taken care of. That's the other thing I wanted to note. I'm going to go through a couple of those quickly. There'll also be two more clues. I've got one queued up for Wednesday on the SHIPIT Nation X channel. So go to @SHIPIT Nation on X. Make sure you're following. Clue number 2 will be out. We posted the first one yesterday. Then I think it'll be Friday, and then we'll make you wait till Monday. Have all weekend to try and put it together. Maybe somebody will. We'll find out. I know people are putting it in ChatGPT. Like everyone's literally breaking it down. Like, what is this? They're trying to crawl back pages and stuff to see where they can find different stuff in our back end. It's just little things like that. But
it is crazy though. There's only, we think about it. It's big. It's something we're excited about. But as of now, I think 3 people know about it. 4 maybe. 4.5, 3.5.
Yeah, so
no one knows.
We'll see how it goes, but definitely appreciate all the love and people trying to figure it out. We love having fun with this. We love playing games. We're gonna put the clues out continuously and make that happen for you guys. But it's fun. The community's trying to put it together in the back end. One final note, we'll get the marketing out of the way very quickly this week. If you do want to try anything out, because football starts on, I think it's September 3rd or 4th this year. I can't remember the exact date yet, but all these promos, and we're having this conversation with our team right after this live, but all these promos are coming to an end on Saturday. So once this hits, like we already know what the announcement's going to be. The promo is going to be the announcement. You're going to want to sign up. You're going to want to move over. You're going to want to leave our competitors. Come join us. We know this already. We've already posted it. Like Hoop said, we've talked about it a little bit, but just for those that see it, once you see it, you'll know. But if you want to check out the community for $24 for the first month, which almost takes you to football anyway, when you can make a decision, you can also prorate this over. If you make a decision on the 6th and say, oh, never mind, I'm in anyway, you can just take over the difference. But these promos will all end at that time. One other quick note, I just want to pull this up here. This one. Sorry. We talked about this since day one. We were very transparent on this, so we're going to be upfront with it again, just so it's clean. This promo, the 129, was supposed to be for 90 days. We've honored it since day one, and we're still going to honor it until football comes back. But it's beyond affordable. Like, as far as the price goes right now, if you were to sign up for SaberSim for their starter package, it's $97, and we're partners. We love them, but it's $30 more to get SHIPIT Nation. That's less than Founding Family pays. Like, when Founding Family came in the very first week we started, they paid $50 or $60 after that, and then had to go pay $97 at SaberSim. $129 is the Founding Family deal of the SaberSim package. The $11.99 deal for annual is 12 months. That's $99-ish per month. That includes the $800 annual SHIPIT Nation content package. So, Hoop, that's all I got, man. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add. I just want to make sure people know that these deals are running out, and then we'll get to the golf.
Yeah, I mean, just back to the main point. It's the most all-inclusive, best value, well-rounded DFS package out there. No one can match the price. I can promise you nobody can match the price. You can go to them. Matter of fact, if you like something better and say, hey, can you match the deal that SHIPIT Nation has? I can tell you right now they can't do it. We've structured our business in a way that we are able to offer this very affordable, most affordable price in the industry, and people can't match it. You see, everyone else is going up with their prices. We continue to present deals that are better values along the way. So very proud of what we've done. And, obviously I know a lot of people are making decisions heading into NFL season. I mean, no secret about it. A lot of people are kind of on the sidelines when football's not going. So, I mean, we wanted to offer the best deal possible, and it's only going to get better. That's the thing with the announcement coming up. It's only going to get better. You're never going to sign up and be like, oh man, this continues to get worse. It's only going to get better in terms of the deal and value that we're presenting to our customer base and potential customer base.
Yeah, as you say, continue to improve and add on. Well, let's move on. Let's go to the next thing here. So Greensboro, gonna look at the weather here real quick just to see what we got going on. But on Thursday, so one of the things about this tournament usually is coming in, there's always a little bit of rain. We've actually seen lift clean in place here a bunch in the past. I'm not sure how it's going to be this week, but it doesn't look like a huge amount of rain coming in on Wednesday night. Anybody from the area could say different or let us know if you know. But right now it doesn't look like much, at least on Wednesday. A little bit today, a little bit on Wednesday. If it shows up, of course, these are just forecasts. And then Thursday, not much with the winds. Friday, not much with the winds. If you look at it a couple different angles, it looks like Thursday morning could be slightly better than Thursday afternoon, but nothing major, Hoop. So anything you saw differently before we get into sort of the tiers and going through some of these options this week?
No, and really with the weather, it really hasn't hit all that often this year. Even when people are trying to play these marginal edges and look for a little bit, like it hasn't hit like it has in previous years. So I don't know, like I haven't put a ton of value into it. I think it's definitely more valuable in terms of the showdown stuff if you're playing each round, opposed to like the overall week. It's been very few and far between where we've seen these massive edges. So I at this point, for it to play a big factor in what I'm doing with the week-long or tournament-long events, I needed to see something substantial where it's like 5 to 10 miles an hour in the morning and it goes up to 25, and then that same tee time side gets the big advantage the second day too. If I'm not seeing that, I'm kind of just pushing it to the wayside and not really letting it factor into my process. But again, if you're doing showdown, I think it's a little different.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's, sometimes can be a leak. We always try and make this still about education and process and stuff and just give my own personal thoughts, playing for many years now, like yourself, Hoop. But I think sometimes there's definitely been times, I will say, in PGA DFS where I've let the weather actually be a leak more than an advantage, meaning I'm looking for it, or it's just some of that. It's almost like a safety net because there is no correlation really in this sport. You can make skill set stacks. You can play to certain tee times. It's definitely helped me. So it's probably evened out or more, but maybe it's better than not over the long term, but certain weeks specifically. And usually I'm building in sets to both sides in that, but where I've with main lineup said, you know what, I'm feeling this side, I'm going to go heavy on it. it's been a mistake in some cases because there's somebody or multiple golfers that do end up getting through from the quote unquote other side, or whatever you want to call it, where they still make it happen.
Yeah, the tough part with PGA DFS is like you can play those advantages properly. You can play the skill sets, you can play the weather and still not hit it, right? You can do everything right and still just be completely wrong, if that makes sense. All it takes is like one or two guys that you're heavy on that are in this skill set or in this perceived weather advantage, and they can still play like shit even when they have the advantage. I guess it's like a little different from like MLB DFS. Like if a team scores 12 runs, like most of their lineup is going to do well. Like 7 out of their 9 batters are probably going to do something if they score a bunch. In football, if a team scores 50 points, like someone on that offense, a majority of their offense probably did something, like multiple wide receivers, the running back, the quarterback. In PGA DFS, you can still be on all the right stuff and be completely wrong, if that makes sense. It's just a highly variant. The variance is so high, and I think that's just the one thing that people just need to embrace. Just know that it's highly variant, and you can do everything right and still be wrong.
Yeah, I agree, and it's kind of like baseball, except I've certainly been on the side of, man, the Yankees put up 12 runs. I must be crushing it right now, and somehow I don't have all the points, and it's the way it goes. But typically, you're correct.
Yeah, it does happen too. Yeah, it can happen.
No, it's another sport that's like that for sure. It's two of the biggest sports that you see that happen. Russell was in here earlier. A couple good comments. First off, Patrick, I'll go in order because I said Russell's name, but Patrick said, all I have to say is Saber is 100 times better than that random number Sims. Russell says, giving this a try after 13 years somewhere else. Talk about a run. I know that must be, I think it's TN Riddle in our Discord earlier was chatting with them. Russell, curious, what made you make the swap to switch over and give us a try? I'm always, we're looking for feedback. Always, if you don't mind sharing, you could send it privately or you could post it in the chat here, but always like to know why people are sort of making the switch, and we're hoping many more make the switch as well. So, all right, Hoop, let's do this. I double-checked it, so we're going to go through it this way today. So 10K range and above, and we'll still take it from a roster construction perspective. Yeah. I do certainly think the most interesting thing this week, Hoop, is it's 3 guys only. It's Fitzpatrick 10-6, Keegan Bradley 10-3, and Griffin 10-1. But a lot of their numbers and project, like, again, like it'll be their projections when they come up based on sort of the odds and stuff. I was going to say projection betting odds, if you will, are going to be very similar, in some cases worse than the group just below them, having guys like Glover, Rye, Bhatia, Bobby Mack, some of those guys, Hideki. So what are you thinking about when roster construction starts here? Do you think we actually see a lot of guys get up to the 5-digit range, or do you think we see people starting with Bobby Mack, Rye, some of those guys in that 9K range?
I think you see people starting up here because it's going to be easy to do it and you don't have to sacrifice much. We saw it last week. All those guys up there, who was it, like Sam Burns, McNeely, and Goddard up, all were pretty highly owned, just not because people liked those dudes, but it was just easy to plan. And I think it's literally going to be the exact same thing this week with Fitzpatrick, Bradley, and Ben Griffin. Whether you like them or not, people are just going to play them. And because it's easy to do so. If you start with Fitzpatrick, I mean, you still have $7,900 per spot. So you're not sacrificing anything. If you start with Ben Griffin, you're right around $8,000 per spot. So you don't have to sacrifice anything. It's going to be very similar to last week, where all these guys, I think, will get some ownership. And then you come down and it's just not going to be necessary to play 6K guys. And the 6K guys will be, pretty much unowned. I do think there's some guys down there you can play. We'll talk about it when we get down there. But I think it's going to be a very similar roster construction week to last week. Honestly, very, very similar. I'm curious to see if you view it any differently. But I think it's going to be basically the exact same thing we saw last week.
It really reminds me of last week in more ways than one, but it's the more interesting part will be, I think, how many people can stomach going back to the guys that hurt their feelings. Because when you get down below the Thor at now 7,700, the Putnam at 7,100, like a lot of these guys are the guys that people were on last week that didn't come through for them or didn't get the job done. Kevin Yu, 7,600. So like Go Collect says, it's still soft pricing this week. Plenty of value to your point there. Definitely a way that you can go, but it doesn't feel like people need to go to the 6s very often. We had 2 or 3 golfers that had, 3% type ownership last week come through, but not many of that, just like we talked about where it was required.
Yeah, no, I mean, agree with you there.
Rickrolled, man, number one rule in Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club. This guy comes out and busts out the course fit ranking right out of the gate, just gives it away to everybody. Jeez, man. Gotta get it under control here. All right. What about the next range? Because I do see this, and for sure when you look at betting odds, it goes straight to Aaron Rai at 9,300. Surprisingly enough, of all the players it would be, but you've got Akshay, Jake Knapp, pretty solid week last week. Harry Hall, Jordan Spieth, Bobby Mack. I wonder, people just don't seem to want to play Spieth or Decky anymore. And these prices, well, they are Best Buy pricing, just shy of 10K, not quite there. I still think people will skip over them. And if they do land anywhere, it's going to be Bobby Mack, Rye, maybe some Harry Hall, Steam, and then Jake Knapp playing pretty solid off of last week. Maybe Bhatia because people just like playing him. But yeah, I think Spieth and Matsuyama will be the clear guys that people overlook.
Yeah. Which is crazy because they're not crazy, but it's they're the household names in this range. These are the guys that have been around forever and been good. No one wants to play them. I'm usually not a Hideki guy. I'm usually not a Spieth guy, but I'll be a little bit of them this week just because they're going to be the two that nobody wants to play. There's a reason everyone's here this week. They probably want to improve their overall standings going into the FedEx Cup playoffs. I mean, that's the nice thing about this week. Everyone's pretty highly motivated that's in this event. They're trying to improve their standing or improve their game because they probably haven't golfed all that well this year. So guys like Hideki and Spieth, if they're going to be, the lowest owned in this range, I'm very interested. I think the reason they are going to be the lowest owned because you go to the bottom of this range and you got guys that have been playing pretty solid golf. I mean, Bhatia, absolutely shit the bed. That was bad. How do you shoot a 75 in round 4 at that course? At that course, just an easy birdie fest. You shoot a 75, tied for the lead, I think, going into the last round. That's embarrassing. But, he played well for 3 rounds. Jake Knapp been playing pretty damn consistent golf. Nothing worse than T27 in his last 4 starts. Been very solid at all different sorts of tracks. Harry Hall, another guy that's been playing pretty well. Aaron Rai is always a guy people are interested in. Made 4 straight cuts, played in some of the tougher events. Now gets a easy track. So I do think a lot of the ownership probably goes to the lower range. All these guys are pretty darn appealing. And I don't know, it is a week where to me it's hard to X out some of these guys. It's hard to really make the fade. So maybe it's more of what you always talk about. And, maybe you play these guys up here and make some stands, in some of the cheaper pricing tiers, but easy to play a lot of these guys. I've been playing a lot of Jake Knapp. I've been playing a lot of Harry Hall. It's hard for me to say, all right, now I'm done. I'm going to stay on guys. I've been playing a lot of Bhatia. I've been playing a lot of McIntyre. So I'm not just going to go away from these guys to go for the sake of going away from them. So it could be a week where I just make some stands down below a little bit.
Yeah. Shout out to Steven. His name is Pumpernickel. Aaron Pumpernickel.
Yeah, and that was just, I don't necessarily, I like playing Akshay, and I needed it. My best teams didn't have him last week. I had some teams that were in decent shape, so I needed him to kind of shit the bed, and he did. But I don't hate him, but that was really bad. That was inexcusable, the round 4.
It really was, but you also got to witness live at in Detroit the previous year when you were there, your hometown. We were at the Fantasy Golf World Championship, which came up again here. Said you're talking about it being variable. Look at that. I got the story. I'll tell it in a second again. But the Bhatia, remember he missed the 4-footer and we were watching it live, but we were on hole 15 and I was with Fantasin and Guillaume and he's there and he's needing it to be able to win the $1 million. Anything but a 4-foot miss from Akshay, and we hear the crowd just go, oh, and it missed. And he's looks at me, and then the putt happens live on screen, and it's damn, we already knew it missed. So he's struggling, I guess, in that spot. That was more of that's one putt. It happens. That's, it's pressure, all that stuff that goes into it. Where's Azinger at with pressure? But I will say it does still set up well at 9K. And if people move on, I just feel like people always like him. But the interesting thing is Glover's popular below. I think he will be, at least, for good reason. But Knapp has been really impressive. We always said play Knapp based on strength of field. Don't sleep on Jake. Well, no one's really sleeping on him anymore. And also, the setup is just how good he's been in sort of all kinds of different fields. And I think it's going to continue to get better and better for him. He just has a really solid game all around. There's another guy later that's been pretty impressive as well that we'll get to when we get to those 8Ks. But did you see that Mock Lovin thing? Mock Lovin played 7 of the same lineup.
Yeah, I saw your video. You did the update.
So
yep.
I messaged him right away, and he did not hit me back. And then when I was like, hey, he maybe he was mad because I was kind of making fun of the situation. But anyway, he did DM me back on Sunday night. I said, I follow up. I said, congrats, man. At least you made it count in the round 4 because he came 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 9th, 11th, 14th, and 15th. Like just pissed off mode, right? Crazy after the way it went in the original where he finished, I think, 37th or 39th times 7. And he said it's everybody does this. So it's just a prime example. He did not want to go back. He didn't go back and look at his lineups because he thought he might change them. He wanted to roll with what he had. And he said he made the mistake based on, the idea of not going back to look at what you had and think, oh, I got to go change my lineups. And then he said a follow-up. He said, by the way, if you're ever dumb enough to make this type of mistake, make sure you delete all your CSVs and data involved. Yeah. He said, I made the mistake of going back and looking, and you probably know the rest is history, but he said it would have been the game over and he would have had it in the bag. Yeah. So it's the way it goes. Unfortunate turn of events, but yeah, I was double checking my lineups over, but that's pretty wild. If you did have multiple entries, I guess my main point was in the original. If you got something like 3 entries, which is more common than having 7 or 8, like some of the others, it's just, I wouldn't play it too tight to play the same thing. You kind of put yourself in that spot so that you can have outs against different situations going on within the tournament. It's always nicer. Anybody that, frequents these live finals or knows anything about them, the more you can differentiate. The more you can have for multiple entries, the more you can differentiate, which typically is what you see at the top of these leaderboards. And it's not tinkering. That's the whole point. He did not tinker. He should have tinkered to get back to it.
Should have tinkered. If he tinkered, he would have realized, oh shit, I got the same.
It's when you make sure you've got what you actually wanted before you go out and load it up there. Yeah. Jason says fading rise since he will probably be popular and the scoring metrics have been lacking. Yeah, sometimes you got to look at it from that perspective. It's typically the betting odds that are favored and factored in that lead into the projections, that lead into like people selling themselves on a guy to say, oh, I got to play this guy. So Aaron Rye, obviously, great result here last year, the win, but just looking at it, 34th, 47th, 17th, 33rd, miscut. If you're looking at recent form, what's really telling you that he's the guy over the other guys around him? We'll see how the ownership actually shakes out, but just to note it, I think that's a little bit important to think about when you're going through it. Shout out to Joanne. She says, like Harry Hall and Chris Kirk this week. Hoops a big Kirky guy. So he's been showing up a lot more lately too. So anything else in that 9K you want to talk about? If not, it looks like Glover and Siwoo early on as far as the betting odds go that will be popping a little bit. But what are you seeing here in this 8K range? And then how do you think people play it? Because I think you can play 2 to 3 8K guys this week, no problem.
Yeah, I think people are just going to feel way more comfortable with the 9Ks, except Glover. People are going to like Glover. This is like one of his courses. And the one thing with Glover, man, if he's on a course where people like him, his ownership just goes and goes and goes. So I'm not going to get crazy on Glover. I plan on playing him, but I'm not going to like go way overweight because he is a guy that I haven't looked at ownership or anything, but when he's on a course that he typically plays well at and it suits him well, people just love getting on him. So a lot of other guys I can play over him. I probably will include him, but I don't know how much I'll get. I think people will stay on Kitayama, but after that, I think Siwoo Kim hasn't been playing great. Adam Scott, probably really hasn't been playing great. Fowler, what's Ricky Fowler's ceiling? I mean, might have saw it last week, like T28 or something.
He's got a 14th and 18th, the 7th.
I mean, he's been better. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I won't play him, but I don't know. I prefer those guys in the 9s. Gerard Clanton's been a mess. Grazerman hasn't been good. Denny McCarthy hasn't been good. But someone who has been very good is my boy Sam Stevens, and I'm going to continue playing him. I love Sam Stevens. 8K flat. Dude's just been very good. Another guy who has not been very good, and it's got to be worrisome territory for you now at this point. Your boy Sung Jae. I mean, it has not been good for him for a very, very, very long time. So curious to get your take on him. But I do think overall in this range, people are going to definitely gravitate towards the top. Glover, Kitayama. I don't think anything else gets overly popular in this 8K range, though.
Yeah, they're making fun of it already. What about Sung Jae? And immediate laughs, as you always Leave
it's been
him
bad.
alone. Leave him
It's
alone.
been bad. It's been so bad.
I mean, a bunch of stuff's coming up first. I'll answer the Sungjae stuff in a second. I got a little story on that one quick. But I think we play Decky. Back to that one up there. Like I care way more about recent form than his course history.
Yeah,
like
I'm not usually a Decky guy, and like if he's again, I haven't really looked at ownership. I don't know where it's going to be. Maybe I'll pull it up and see if I can find some. But like if he's going to be the lower owned in that range, I'll take my chances on just long term good golfer.
And even recently,
field.
16, 13, 30th, like he plays in the best fields too. So it's like typically that. But I'll just say this is like if people, this is where people get so stuck on a week like this. And if you're going to be heavy on, I mean, if you're going to be against guys on course history, then make sure you're loading up on Webb Simpson, because Webb Simpson has the best course history. And don't forget, he hired back little last call for alcohol, little last call for romance there with his boy Paul Tesori on the bag. They missed the cut last week. It was close. I think it was a couple strokes off. But then this week, I think it's just a 2-week deal. So, Paul Tesori is back on the bag. That's where all these finishes came from. So if you're going to go off that.
The event, right? Webb Simpson named his kid Wyndham, right? Like a couple years ago, that was a big thing when he was actually pretty good. Now he fucking sucks.
This guy says couple years ago. We're talking like 8 years ago, 10. Yeah. I mean, that's 4 couples, 8.
Yeah, but it was honestly like even when he was like starting to fall off a little bit, this was the spot everyone played him because he named his kid after the event.
Yeah, he still got 5th here 2 years ago. So just to note it, he's had a withdraw, missed cut, but then his results are 5th, 6th, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 5th. Like he crushes it. But the same thing here, like Jason. Yeah, that's a good. It's really to me like I know this people it comes off brash, but like that's a good excuse if Hall has a bad week this week. Hall's playing phenomenal golf. I'm rolling with that. He's over 2 at the course if he has a bad week, and this his driving
this is a prime example where different golfer this year than he's been in the past 2-3 years. Like he kind of took that next step this year, Harry Hall. So yeah, I mean, if you want to stick to the stats, yeah, totally get it. And there's a ton of different golfers you can play this week. So if that's the reason you don't play him, yeah, definitely don't do it. I'm just going to go with like recent form and the fact that I think he has elevated his game a little bit.
Yeah, these are always fallback pieces because every person that tells you, and I love all these, people in the chat supporting, and we, it's people we know, love, that are part of the community. I'm just saying, for everyone that says that, you better check your whole portfolio. Because like, I'm not playing this guy because I worry about his off the tee. And then they don't play that guy because he's off the tee, and they got like 3 more dudes in their lineup that suck off the tee. And then they're like, but we're not talking about those people. So, it's like every case you make, there's always a flip side to it. And that's the other thing. So, yeah, Im needs to sell his house and get back on the road. This guy was crushing it when he was living, where was it at the time? I think in Atlanta and Georgia, and he was just sort of going house to house or Airbnb or whatever. But Sungjae Slim was the original problem. And I've still played the guy because like Hoop always says, we play who we play. I posted it in the Discord at SHIPIT Nation the other day. I said, congrats on Sungjae at the Wyndham next week, because I think I'm done with this guy. Like it's just been so bad. Like you said, it's really tough to get behind. But guess what? I lied, and I'm definitely never going to be done with Sungjae, and I can't be, especially at $8,000 at this course. And I just got to keep playing him, and the season's almost over. The good news for me, that bleed can stop soon, because when the season's over, I can get surgery.
Is he in? Is he in for sure? Like, is he in the? Who
knows? Sungjae. I mean, this is the thing. I think someone made this joke the other day. Is like somehow he'll still be in the freaking, the Tour Championship or something. The guy just always. Let me look it up while you're talking about that. But where do you see the current stats for all this shit? That's what I want to see.
It's got to be like the FedEx Cup standings or something, I'm assuming.
Is he 30th right now in it still?
Oh, just because he plays every week. Yeah. So like the system definitely rewards the guys that play. That's crazy. He's had like literally the worst season of his career. He's top 30.
He's still 28th in the world for ranking. I mean, that's all bullshit too, but just still,
I think it's insane, man.
It's wild though. And man, do you remember when this guy was on, it was the web.com tours where I first picked up on him, and players would just talk about him like that is a sweet swing. But they forget he was also, he was eating the BB Go more than just wearing it on a patch on his shirt. He was definitely filling up on the carbs and the fats and the everything. Since he got a little bit slim, that's it. Andrew knows, just like Ryan can't be done. RIP Ryan Sandberg, by the way, who Ryan, our EBR friend, was named after. But he says, yeah, you'd be awfully regretful. The good news is the season's almost done. I can clog it up then and move on from there. But at 8K, you're not going to see me stay away. I still like Sungjae. Like your boy Stevens there. Clanton continues to play well. I was going to say Ryan Gerard earlier, though. He got a win, actually, recently. It was at, what was it, the CUDA?
Yeah, like
where he got the job done. But he's been good at a bunch of different courses, and he kind of makes me think about a guy that could do well here, too. We'll see how many people play him, but if it's going to be more guys focused on Glover, Kitayama, and Kim, and I guess my final take, not to go play by play here, but just to ask, do you really like? That's the thing I've noticed with people winning, like Kitayama, they just move off him the next week. Like, oh, good for him, he got the job done. 8,800 is kind of squeezed there between Glover, Kim, and those guys in the 9K range. I guess he'll get some ownership, of course, but do you think people go heavy on him there, or do they more go to Glover, like you said?
Yeah, I think he definitely gets it. Like it seemed like a couple years ago that was definitely the theme in PGA DFS. If someone wins, like you can't play them the next week, and their ownership was always low. I feel like people have gotten away from it a little bit. So I think, and it's going to be easy to play them. Like, man, it's like so easy. I looked at a couple sources for ownership, and it's just like the highest owned guys are just the most expensive guys because it's so easy to play them. So like even if you like go Kitayama and Keegan, you still have 7,800. So it's like you can play like all these guys with ease. I don't think anyone up top is going to be like overly low owned. Like you almost have to make your stands like down low because it's just easy to play all these guys. So I guess to answer your question, I think he still gets substantial ownership.
I feel like he's just got to get squeezed by Glover and Kim. But one thing I will say is, like,
people do like Glover.
Yeah, when Pockgeiter won, no one wanted him the next week. When Chris Gotterup won at the Scottish Open, I guess going into a major is different, but they most certainly didn't want him even at a cheaper price. We'll see what they do with Kitayama here, but I got no problem going back to the guy that just won, especially if I think the biggest thing you said that is so key is the Glover love. You can't spell Glover with love, and when he gets love, he gets a lot of it. So people like going to Glover, and that's that. This also starts one more guy I'll bring up. Did play well here last year, but again, I'm not really focused on that. His recent form is not good the last three, but a couple of those miscuts were close calls, and that is Max Grazerman, 8,200.
Yeah, definitely in. I'm playing him for sure.
Yeah, he starts maybe there's others, but he certainly starts the board for me of guys that really hurt people that they won't want to move. Like most people will be like, nope, that's for you. You have them then. And shout out, there's Notes 105. Right there, won the King of the Desert seat a couple weeks ago, says play Grazerman when no one plays him. By the way, that week I got third behind Notes 105. This past week, third again. So hot start to the King of the Deserts, who getting in the mix. Top three every week, where first is the only thing that matters. Love to see it. Nobody cares. Work harder. Yeah. We move on. The chat asked earlier if you're in on Cam Young. Let's kick off this 7K range. Tons of golfers in the 7K range. Cam Young at the top with Hogard. There's a couple guys, if not 3 to 5 at every price tag here. So maybe 4 caps out. I think, no, 72 has 6 guys actually. So yeah, and 71 even more. So yeah, just going through it. What is your initial thoughts on the 7Ks? Who are sort of the 2 to 3? I think a best way to say it is, some will get all the ownership and then the rest, and they'll get even more steamed and high stakes, but then it'll get pretty spread out. But these match a lot of the lineup constructions you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it just has to get spread out here again. It's just so similar to last week. So many guys here that are perceived as playable. You can end a lot of lineups here. Like I said, even if you start heavy, let's say you go Fitzpatrick and McIntyre. So 10-6 for Fitzpatrick, 96 for McIntyre. You got 7,500. So what are people going to do? They're going to come here and just pick their 4 favorites. So a lot of lineups will have 3 to 4 guys in this range. So it's just going to get spread out, a lot of different options. Cam Young, I don't know. If you've been playing, he's to me in that category. I know I say it a lot, but to me it's true. If you've been playing him, keep playing him. If you've been fading him, I'd keep fading him. I've been playing him, so I'll keep playing him a little bit, not like a ton. I think JT Poston can do well at this course. Hasn't been playing all that well, a couple missed cuts in a row, but definitely like him. You talked about Thor, just a really bad first round, out of contention. I mean, just done. I mean, really the only guy that really, really struggled in a big way. So, I don't know. I'm impartial on that. I think Olesen had a solid week last week. I don't mind going back to him. Griot is one guy. Kind of looks, I'd say, maybe a little underpriced here. 7,500 just feels like an event where he'll do well. So kind of in on him. Tom Kim at 75 has showed some signs of life. Obviously not what he was doing like last year, but he's shown some signs of life. It's probably enough for me to play him here. I think like Max Homa is an interesting name. I mean, it was really, really bad earlier on in the year. It's still not great, but made a few cuts in a row. Looked pretty decent, I would say, this week. They showed him a lot. I mean, if you watched any of the coverage, like he was all over it. Andrew Novak, Svensson at 7,300. I really, really like him. I mean, he is, I think, solid. I mean, you look at it, he's made the cut in, looks like 7 out of 8 events, 14th last week, 16th at the Open Championship. 7,300, I think, is too cheap for him. Seabez, too cheap. Chris Kirk. Kanaya played well last week, 7th. Like, I can go back to him. Like, can you get some momentum going on a guy like Kanaya? Interested. Andrew Putnam. Gary Woodland, I believe, was pretty solid last week, 20th. He's made a few cuts in a row. So many guys here you can play. Bridgman. But to me, like, I don't know, is anyone going to be like super popular? Like, just going through this, I don't think anyone stands out as like, oh, I got to fade him because he's going to be over the top popular. Another name, Vince Whaley. Like, Vince Whaley has suddenly played well. A lot of made cuts in a row. You know, didn't really finish the job last week. Shot, what did he finish? 57th, but never really had a bad round, but also never had a great round. 67, 70, 69, 69. So he's kind of right there. But you had to shoot like way under last week. So there's a ton of guys here that you can play. I don't think you need to be worried about ownership really on anyone unless I'm missing something. Davis Thompson, kind of the cheapest price he's had, 7,600. He was, 8K, 9K at some of these other events. Now he's down to 76. He's been bad, but he's a solid golfer. So many different guys here you can play, but a lot of roster construction is going to end here with either 3 of these guys or 4 of these guys, majority of teams. So, there's definitely different things you can do. If someone stands out as really low owned, like, get on them, because I think a lot of these guys are similar.
Yeah, I think the setup is the winner can come from this range. There's just so many dudes. You mentioned it. There's actually a lot. And this is why I'd be very careful. And, when you're building your pools or seeing what you're getting instead of forcing guys in that you don't need just to make happen, or instead of forcing in 6K guys when you get there, whatever, just because you heard a couple good things or you like them, I would definitely be taking my stands in the 6K range. So if you're picking 2 or 3, go with it for your portfolio. But these 7K guys, there is so many names there that you can get behind. And a lot of them are really solid. Like, I'm not going to, everyone's, oh, you're naming everybody. I'm not going to get into it. I got more stuff to talk about, but Griot week is talked about. Goat week. Go Collect was tilting Seabez in the Discord on Sunday, and then Seabez went and made a streak and finished like 6 under on the day. No more bogeys after the first one or whatever it was, and just dunked right on him. But still, I remember that. I saw it. The main thing is he looks like a guy that'll get a ton of ownership. And I'll say it, and it'll be in the slate plan, over at SHIPIT Nation. I posted it last week. The laziness that is down here, at least in the higher stakes stuff, where a lot of these guys are going to get super steamed, there's going to be like a group of 4 or 5. Well, it will be spread out on everybody else in your portfolio, your MME set. I want like 10 to 15%, if not more, of some of these other guys down here, because there's just so many options in this range. And I'm not as high on certain guys at the top. I'm not completely fading dudes or anything. I'm not on this guy no matter what. But if I get way less of Jordan Spieth this week or Harry Hall or whatever I end up getting way less of, I'm not going to be that crazy about making it work. Versus down low, there's a lot of these options. I'm talking 7K range. 6Ks, you're still taking your stands. I will say this comes up a lot this week, particularly. For every Bez, there's 10 more guys around. Like, Bez is fighting to get inside the top 70. He is. So is Chris Kirk. So is Gary Woodland. So is Smalley. So is Eric Cole. So is Kevin Roy. But wait, there's more. While they're fighting to get inside, there's guys right around them. Nico, Kevin Yu, Griot, Patrick Rogers, Benny Ann, Schmid. All these guys are fighting to stay inside the top 70. It's always one of those things. People have tracked it for years. It's not been a profitable venture to chase that from the numbers I've seen and the people that are going through it, those guys are typically outside for a reason. For every one that gets in, one falls out. The argument, just like I said earlier, it can be made for both ways. So everyone's like, oh, but Bez needs to get in. Well, Benny Ann is going to be 1/3 of his ownership probably in what we care about on DraftKings. A, you can play both. B, if you were picking one, the guy at 1/3 the ownership that's fighting to stay in, that's actually already ahead of him and has almost won this tournament twice here. I don't really care about his recent form versus the others, just a note. So if way more people are going to pile on a guy like Bez, there's lots of other opportunity around him with the exact same narrative that's going through. And Andrew says, as an ode to our guy, Degenerate75 says, I'm going to play my own slapdicks. I really think always that's the case of what you should do. But this week, to me, Hoop, the quote unquote slapdicks, if you will, are more in the 6K range. That's where I'm going to make my stand. Say, okay, like, if I'm getting 3 or 4 of these guys, fine. I don't want 20 guys in the 6K range. I want 20 guys in the 7K range. If I'm taking 20 guys, you know what I mean? The 7K is just loaded, like we talked about. So anything else on the 7s you want to mention? If not, let's hit the 6s and then we'll be getting out of here.
Yeah, I think the one spot it might be a little bit different this week is that I am going to play more of these guys in the 6K range than I did last week. I just going through it, to me, like a lot of these guys, I'm not seeing much of a difference between some of the dudes in the 7K range. So I can get to more Hideki or more, Spieth or so some of these guys that look a little overpriced are going to be lower owned in the top range, because I like quite a bit of guys down here in this 6K range. And man, my boy Svensson, first week, either I faded him or barely played him, and he shoots at 60 in the first round. Now, I mean, he finished 14th overall because he followed it up with like a 75 in round 2. But man, I'll go back to him. Victor Perez, 6,900, solid. Lee Hodges has been a disappointment for sure. Mark Hubbard, Schmid, McCarty, Lipsky is showing signs of life now. I mean, Lipsky, these events have been not the greatest events, but 3rd, 28th, 32nd, 3rd last week. Like, has he found something? No one plays him. I think I said McCarty. Seamus Power, solid last week. Rosner, Carson Young, 6,600. Brian Campbell, I think, could play well here. Norlander. There's like guys down here I can play. And to me, like, I don't know, I think a lot of them are similar to some of those dudes in the 7K range. And I do think a lot of lineups end in the 7K range. So if I embrace the 6s a little bit more, maybe I can be a little bit different that way. So I'm liking the 6s a little bit more this week than I did last week. And I think for my 150 pool, I'm going to incorporate some of these guys a little bit more and probably, make some stands and play them at a much higher rate. And if it works out, I'm going to probably be different than the field. So that's one area I think I'll be a little bit different than last week, where the 6K did not look good at all. I see some guys down here I feel pretty comfortable with. Yeah,
and I should make my classic disclaimer as always, like 68 and above is the same to me as 7s. So like, the Victor for sure, like if just naming some, because you did, I'll name some too, like some are the same, but Perez, Gim, McCarty, McGreevy, I tried out last week. Like that's like 4 or 5 that I could just say, right there. It's more when you get down low and then people are going to make a case that what's going to happen. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying what most people will do is say, who's the guy here? I could say, you mentioned Carson Young. He's fine. But, then they got to get a little bit of Thirsty Lawrence. Oh, but I kind of liked Rosner last week. Let me throw him in too. Oh, I heard something about Ventura. This Rosenmuir guy, like he could fit in there. Like,
yeah. So, and I guess just to clarify, this is much easier to do if you're playing 150. If you're only playing 5 lineups, 10 lineups, it's like not as appealing. So I'll be playing 150. So I have the flexibility to take some of these chances. If you're only building 3 lineups, like you probably don't have that sort of flexibility to play a bunch of these guys. So if you are playing a bunch of lineups, that's where I do think you can kind of embrace these guys a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think it's more about the portfolio you have and how you want to adjust it to make it happen. Like Hoop said, playing 150 definitely can make that work. And I'm kind of, classifying guys outside of, 67 and below is where it's like, okay, if a couple trickle in, so be it. But, with the Sims, and I get it that way set up from the Ultimate over with Saber Sim, then I'll see it. But if not, I'm not trying to have a bunch of these guys that are 6,700 and below just to make a case. Oh, David Skins last week. I heard David Ford this week. We got to do it all. Maybe you do. But just to note, I like Steven's comments as like an example. Coles was T20. There are some plays in the sixes, as Hoop mentioned. And if you can avoid the kick in the nuts, he said butts, but nuts. Good on. Maybe it's kick in the butt too, but we always call it kick in the nuts. So good on you. And our guy Sheets, giving Hoop the love. Shirt blending right into the background with the white on black hat and the white AirPods. Damn, he is ready to take down all the cheese this week. LFG.
All you can see is my head. Nothing else exists.
Nice. That's good. So the one note I'll say there, shout out to our guy Sheets, doing a ton of SaberSim content over on the site for us. We've got some other exciting news upcoming beyond just the August 6th.
That's another teaser you can throw out there. We're all about the teasers, and you can throw out a little teaser there if you'd like, because that's another big piece.
What's the best way to say it? The S in Sheets stands for the setup, but we'll see. I mean, we'll have news on it. We're gonna have it'll have its own launch show, but there is definitely some big news coming with our guy Sheets, and right now he's doing a ton of premium content. Anybody using SaberSim, whether it's us, a competitor, whatever it might be, if you want more for your money, you can save, first of all, on the packages that you get with us. We talked about it earlier, the $129, including the SaberSim starter package and the SHIPIT Nation content. That'll be going up when football comes back. The $11.99 annual deal that gets you $99 a month, including the SaberSim starter package and the $800 SHIPIT Nation content package. Those are the best deals by far. And then you get the premium videos that Sheets and Rio, myself, Hoop, Title, others will all be chiming in on throughout this upcoming season, where it's how we're actually using it for our process and putting it out there. So lots of good stuff. Someone said Best Buy pricing throws people off, but I think that's going to do it, Hoop. I will say again, if you want to get in and check it all out, this is your last chance. This ends on Saturday at midnight. It's going to include the MMA, because anybody playing MMA can use this code, or I think it's actually a different code. It's UFC 75. Doesn't matter, though. The main point would be, if you want to get in, use this. On Saturday, these will end, and it'll be all about the August 6th promo, and that'll be your best way to get in and be a part of something bigger. Any final thoughts from you, Hoop, before we get out of here?
Just the last thing, kind of touched on in the opening, and I have got a lot of questions about this. Like, should I wait till August 6th to sign up? Like, the in terms of the actual price that you will pay, it's not going to change on August 6th. So the best deal right now is obviously the $349 that gets you all the way through the NFL season with SaberSim as well, which you have up here. There's no way anyone in the industry can match it. You can see here, these are legitimate comparisons. And then you throw in all the bonuses at the bottom, plus the mystery bonus, which is, what are you saying, less than $1 million, but better than $100 single entry ticket. Can't beat this. I mean, you literally just cannot beat this deal. So if you're going to be with us for NFL season, the sooner you sign up, the better the deal is, because you have all access all the way until NFL starts, free all access all the way up until NFL starts. And then the one thing to mention as well is this does include college football as well. A lot of other sites are charging, we have about 200 here on average just for college football. This is a football package. It includes NFL and college football. So this is going to be your home for NFL, college football, DFS. The Discord community is ready to embrace anyone that comes on and joins us. So we'd love to have you this NFL season. You're not going to find a better deal. You're not going to find a better value. This is the spot to be. Yeah,
this is the deals up. Like he showed you, you do get as well the NFL DFS mega course. So you can check out the offer, go to the site. It's right at the very top. It's all inclusive at the $349, and that includes SaberSim. So for NFL only, the way to get that and build it all around and what you're looking at paying, there's not going to be a better way. But if you do want the all access pass, that would be the setup here, where you can pay as little as $99 or $129 is currently the best value, because that gets you the SaberSim starter package, which is almost $100 a month alone, where you can build up to 500 lineups. You get projections and ownership for additional sports, and then you also get contest flashback, and you can go through that as well. So it's going to be a good one. August 6th is the date. Most certainly going to be a lot of fun. The NFL just around the corner. That's going to make it all that and more. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.